guys, how are you today? YouTube's warning me. It's going live. It says, do you know this? Like, yes, I know this. Got it. The meeting is being live streamed. And of course, that one's going to want to act up as soon as I go live. Let's bring it back up here. There we go. I'm going to try to do the two-camera thing today, so maybe you guys can see. I may not be doing two cameras at all if that one doesn't stop acting up. Hey Sylvia, hi Nancy, how are you today? Hi Lori. I am phone, camera, computer, trying to make sure I've got all my stuff up here. Hi Charlotte, how are you today? The camera that's on my desktop is trying to act up, so if you keep acting up, then we will kill it. But I'm trying to put it there because I want you guys to be able to see it. I sound like I'm underwater. I wonder if that's because... Does that help any? I haven't... Let's see. Not there, not there. Still have an echo? I'm so sorry to hear that, Nancy. Trying to make sure that everything is off. Did that help? Yes, that's better. Okay. I turned off the mic on the cell phone. Nancy, I'm sorry to hear that. It's, I would say it's endemic, but it's just, I think we're all getting older. That's all I can figure. I found out last week, it's still echoing. Why am I echoing? Did that help, or did that shut me up completely? Can you hear me? Trying to get rid of the echo before we start. See, last week, or Monday, I could hear an echo. You can't hear me at all now, can you? Can you hear me now? That's okay. I'm dependent on you to tell me if I'm doing it right. Because you're catching the end of it. And I think my husband's computer is going. Still echoing. Hi, Michelle. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Trying to figure out why I'm echoing. Hi, Colleen. Is that better? It was better, now it's back echoing. I know there's a delay, so that's why I'm waiting a couple of seconds. I want this on gallery view, okay. Now I'm confuzzled. Is it still echoing or is it now better? Okay, thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. Okay, so well, I'm glad I started early. It took 15 minutes to get that straight.
The I think I've made my decisions on times. We're going to continue to do Monday nights at 7, and I'm going to go ahead and try to do the Thursdays at 2, like we're doing. A lot of my UK subscribers um, can't make that 7 p.m. time, and 2 o'clock lets me have a daytime and then an evening one. And Thursday, right now, they're not supposed to be having meetings on hubby's work. So I'm going to leave us at 2 o'clock on Thursday. If it becomes a real problem, then we'll talk about changing times. And my intention for Thursdays, let's see if I can get that so you guys can see it, is to work on these, the Quilt Builder card deck box. I started a series of separate videos and let it drop by the wayside with the holiday hop and all that stuff. But I still want your snoring. Yeah, I'm sorry. But you need the rest, Sylvia. That's fine. Yes, replay is fine. But I started doing that Quilt Builder card deck and then I let it drop because of all the stuff with holiday hop and all that. And so I've decided I want to get back to working on that Quilt Builder card deck. Oh, maybe you can see it better down there. The advantages of 2 cameras, right? But I'd like to get back to working on this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 of them. I'm going to make one the way the box says to do it. And then when we do the live, the one the way the box says to do it will be a video. And then when we do the live, we'll do it how I think it should be done. Because a lot of these don't, they have you cut out a whole bunch of little squares and stuff, and it's just way tedious. But I think that if we do it that way, then anybody who comes along and is working from that box will be able to find a video that's just a video. And then if you happen to be without having to do it the hard way, I hope I find easier ways, then we'll have another version of it too. So we'll have a separate video, plus we'll have the live. Now I'm going to move my camera that faces me over a little bit because my workspace is to my right instead of right in front of me. So I may not be able to you guys a magic trick. I did it as a short, but not everybody watches shorts, right? And I am burning up in here today, so we're gonna hopefully you guys can see me there. Yay. All right, so what I've got here is a friction pen, and this thing is almost impossible to read on camera. I tried a whole bunch of different ways when I was recording my short. I have blue, I also have red, green, and purple floating around here, but I use them for different things. And someone sidetracked me this morning. She asked about FMQ, free motion quilting, and she wanted some tips for it. So I'm going to use my friction pen. Don't you start on me, camera. I'm going to use my friction pen, and that's one of the reasons I wanted the phone up here. And I'm going to draw on here. Now, Colleen's probably going to do something simple, like straight lines for her pig, because that's what she's working on. And I just wanted to kind of give an overview of how I would probably do that. So the friction pen marks on fabric, and it looks just like having ink pen. Colleen, if you've got a yardstick, you might even want to do like all the way across, or you could use tape, which I know you've used before. But can you guys see that? Where it's marked on there? Didn't do it dark enough. but especially when I first started free motion quilting, this is how I did it. I would get my little pen out. There you can see that line. And I would draw in what I wanted to put onto my quilt or whatever. And then when you're done quilting it, you just take your iron, and you can't see that line disappear, but even though I wrote pretty heavily, it went away. But you can see this line and see that it just disappears with the iron. So I like friction pins for that. They also make water soluble pins. You could do basting lines if you wanted to. Anything under the sun for this in order to draw it on and then make the lines disappear. I didn't flip it over. It's not on the other side. It is there. It's gone. Now, one thing about friction pins is that if your quilt or your object gets really cold, like if you stick it in the freezer, those lines will come back. And some people have said that they have problems with red not disappearing completely. I have a loose bow. No, it's loose. So keep that in mind if you're working on a lot of white. You need the feed dogs to help for your back's sake. If you're going to do straight lines, the feed dogs are fine. If you're going to do actual free motion, like you want to do swirls and hearts and that kind of stuff, then you want to drop those feed dogs. So when you go to your sewing machine, they're usually on the back on domestic machines. They are on the back of my Baby Lock Jazz. And there's a little button that you slide normally that will bring your feed dogs down. Just don't forget to bring your feed dogs back up when you go back to regular sewing. I've done that. And I'm sitting there chain piecing going, why isn't this moving? So then you feel really dumb. But this is how I learned how to do pebbles. And being able to do it with the friction pin helps you get muscle memory. I do it on paper a lot of times too. I don't always have a sample that I can do it. And one tip, if you decide you want to do pebbles, is vary the sizes of your little circles. Make some small. There's a little ridge on there. Sorry. And go different directions. And you can go around and travel around your circle if you want it to be more defined. I like using contrast thread on quilting stuff because I like seeing the designs, especially after you wash. Yeah, red, pink, and purple that didn't disappear. So Sherlock had 3 colors that didn't disappear for her. Were you using pure white? And see, if you don't like the design you've put on, you just iron over it and it disappears. So, and this is just those little hexes that I had. Trying not to make my cameras blur. You don't like doodling or drawing. It will be fun for you. Once you, I'm not really a big doodler, but once you sit down and do a couple of practice pieces and see how they come out, it may become more fun for you. Now, the reason I have one that's got dark in the center and light is this friction pen will write on the dark stuff. It's just harder to see. Like there's a line and it's not showing up on camera. But something small like this, I'm fascinated by feathers right now. So I'm trying to learn how to do feather free motion quilting. And that's a whole different thing for me. It's a little more advanced than what I normally am. And on the dark, you may be able to see that just a little bit right there. See how I've got a little bit of a white line left in there? That will disappear once I wash the quilt. I've had it before and I was like, oh no, I've ruined a whole quilt, but it will disappear for you. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, you had a black friction pen, leave a white mark on purple Kona cotton. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. And then Colleen was asking, and I'm going to move the upper camera so that it can show you my sewing machine. I know this is boring to some of you, but for someone like Colleen, trying to get my sewing machine to show. Let's see if it'll do it with this one without dropping the camera. No, it's not going to do it. Okay. So Colleen asked me earlier, and I'm going to move the other camera, so I'm going to turn it off. Hold on just a second. I'm going to stop the video on that. Yeah, I get dizzy too. So I definitely don't want to make you guys go for any more of a ride than I have to there, Sherlock. Let's see if we can bring that one back online. There we go. Okay, so this is the Baby Lock Jazz. This is the one that I use the most for piecing. I normally use the Juki whenever I quilt, but Colleen is using a domestic sewing machine. So I wanted to show on the closest thing I have to a domestic without going and digging out my old brother. My brother's my backup for this, but my little arm slides off, and back here behind the arm, there is a button, and some days are better than others for me to be able to move this. You hear it? I click that button to turn my feed dogs off, and I leave the bed on my machine when I free motion quilt. And then this is the foot that I use normally for FMQ. This is called a whole bunch of different things. I call it a free motion foot, but I think it's actually called a hopping foot. So if you're looking for, let's see if I can get that where you guys can see it. If you're looking through the bag of tricks that was sent to you whenever you bought your sewing machine, your hopping foot may be metal, it may be plastic. This one's plastic. And I do like, and I'm not sure if that's going to pick up on camera here, there are two red marks right here that kind of tell you where your needle is at. Because when you're free motion quilting, it's easy to kind of get lost on what you're doing. And then let me get my screwdriver out here. I haven't turned my machine on yet because I don't want to accidentally press the foot pedal. And believe me, I'm spazzed today. I could do it. And it goes on pretty similarly to any of the other feet, except that for mine, I know you can't see what I'm doing here. There's a screw there. I have a little screwdriver. And I'm going to tighten that down as far as it will tighten. When you're free motion quilting, it is a good idea to regularly check and make sure that that screw is tight enough. Yeah. Could also be called a darning foot. Yep, I've heard it called a darning foot. I haven't used that term in years. Sorry, I had to pull this out from under there. And then I have a light purple thread in mine. I'll turn my machine on. Now, I have disengaged my feed dogs. I'm on a straight stitch for the Baby Lock Jazz. I don't have to adjust anything up at the top as far as stitch length because I'm going to be driving this bus. And then all I'm doing is I'm following that little line that I put in there earlier, and I stink it feathers, but you guys will get the idea. And I like the plastic foot because it makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing. And you can tell that I'm getting faster as I go. But you don't have to get faster. You can do it at whatever speed works for you. I'm going to clip my threads here. And I am not a master quilter. I am a beginner with very little more experience than any of you guys. Yeah. And then that is what I quilted on there, just half a feather. I followed that little line that was the white line that was left in there. And I think that by the time I got done quilting all of this, you probably wouldn't see that white line anyway. And I like contrast thread whenever I quilt. Everybody doesn't. Some people like it quilted, like they would like that light purple I'm using on the white, and then you would just see it once you wash it. My favorite part of the quilt is after you wash it. You have a few different sizes of these quilting feet. Oh, I didn't know they made different sizes of it. It's just because this is all you. You can draw it however you like. And once you get used to doing this, this is especially aimed at Colleen, it is just like doodling. And the reason that you want to doodle is to kind of get used to how it works. I doodle with, the pen like just between a couple of fingers. And you're doing a similar thing whenever you're doing this. You're just doodling. You're just doodling on here. You're not doing anything fancy dancy. Do have to remember to put the foot down whenever you're free motion quilting. And practice pieces, that's what this is just a practice piece. I mean, these are small. And I know that most of the big quilters, when you do long arm, they're like, oh, make sure you pull that thread through and tie your thread off. You can do that however you like. I have to watch myself because I will get too fast. That's not what I want to do. The other thing I do is I watch other quilters. I like Angela Walters and a couple of others. I like to watch them and I like to see, especially on a practice piece. And I do what they did. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But you have this little practice piece here. And you can tell my results may vary. If I do this for 10, 15, 20 minutes, my tension's not great on the back there, so I may need to adjust it. But if I do it for a few minutes, then by the time I get it all covered, all my little, I'm looking at it and going, ooh, I didn't do that very smoothly or whatever. It's all going to blend in. And by the time you wash this, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. Now, this is I don't know, table runner, pot holder, whatever. So this isn't important, but I wouldn't want to practice for the first time on something that I felt was important. So if you're making a quilt for somebody special, you probably want to do some practice stuff before you start, unless you're doing something easy like straight line quilting. But I have in my machine, and this is why I came over here, a 90-12 needle, and that's what I use for piecing, and that's what I use for quilting on both machines. Unless I've got denim in here, If I have denim, I go up to 114. And if I'm doing a lot of layers of vinyl, I don't do vinyl on this machine at all. I don't make purses here. I make them on the Juki. If I'm doing a lot of layers of vinyl, I'll use 114 on that. That's a whole different dissertation, because you only get one shot at vinyl. But for free motion quilting, if you hate this, you can go through here, use your seam ripper and pull it out and start over. And fabric doesn't have much of a memory. Your batting might remember you were stitching, but it's not going to be shown on the outside. And I know Colleen knows how to rip out stitching because I've watched her do it before. So you have several orphan blocks you can mess up. Yeah. And one of the reasons, will it hurt the machine to run with no thread and bobbin? No. No, it won't hurt your machine at all. As a matter of fact, that's a traditional, quote unquote, time honored way to teach someone how to sew through a piece of paper. Yeah, you can do that, no problem. And if you want to free motion quilt on paper with no thread and no bobbin thread, you could do that. You could sew through thread and through paper with thread and bobbin thread in it if you wanted to, just to practice it. Yeah, that would be perfectly acceptable. The thing about that is, the reason I recommend the pieces, yeah, and then you learn how to do it on the machine. The reason I recommend doing it on small pieces that have a back and a front and some batting in them is because it's a different feel going through something that has some structure than it is. This really isn't a good practice piece for a quilt unless that quilt is cloth in the center, because that's what I put in the middle of these. But the pieces of batting that you take off a quilt, let me turn that camera off here. Just show me. The pieces of batting that you cut off a quilt and the pieces of fabric and stuff, you can use those to do other small quilts and to practice different things. Go watch somebody who you really admire quilt. Angela Walters for me is one, and Angela does lots of lessons where she gets like right down up close and personal on the quilting, so you can actually watch almost the needle go in and out. Tucker's got a few videos like that. Tiffany's too fast for me. She quilts so fast, and she is good. I'm not going to say she's not, because she is. She's amazing. But for me, it's hard to learn from somebody who's going that fast. However, you can slow videos down and look in more detail at what they're doing. So go look at somebody who teaches basic, and there's a dozen really good teachers on the internet who teach free motion quilting. And Natalie, I can't remember the girl's name, it starts with an N, but she does amazing stuff, and she will get rulers on her long arm. Now that's the other thing. Long arm quilting is very different from quilting on a sewing machine. And I've got a long ASMR video coming out tomorrow where I'm right on top of the machine showing you how I stitch. And that may help you get an idea of, how to lay things out flat, how to keep it flat, how to maneuver from one block to another. I'm not claiming that I'm a great teacher on free motion quilting. I am not. But that is one thing that I do try to teach. And Natalie Bonner, thank you, Colleen. Thank you. I knew her name. Yeah, the baby lock doesn't like to be used as a quilting machine as much. The tension is really picky on this. That's why I like doing it on my Juki better. And that's why almost all of my videos are on the Juki. But yeah, that's the whole idea, is starter tips. How do you, set up your machine? How do you get it flat? I've heard of people using pool noodles, and I've tried them, and I don't like them so much. I like to baste my quilts with basting spray. A lot of people can't handle basting spray. Tracy, I know, can't handle basting spray. So she uses basting powder. I also have, let's see if they're in this box here. Yes, good. See, organization, it works. Ah, dropped one on the floor. This is a regular safety pin, but there's a little bit of a curve inside that pin. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't. Let's find you something dark to put it up against. There's a little curve in that safety pin that makes it easier to open the pin and put it through and bring it back up without bending your pins. Right there. I have done FMQ with fleece on the back. I don't use batting when I do that. It's not minky. I didn't use minky. I used anti-pill fleece from Joanne Fabrics, which I know you don't have in the UK. I use that, and I normally still spray that. Yeah, the curved safety pins don't like my hands either, but I do have a couple of videos where I show using them and pulling them out. If I'm using them, I'm using my arthritis gloves, my compression gloves on my hands. And they do make a opener for them. Does fleece slide? I haven't had any particular issues with fleece. I never really thought about it. When I quilt, I do it on the table that Wayne built for me, and I need to actually do a video on that table so you guys can see what I've got. But the top of my table is melamine. It's really super thin. It's not melamine. It's MDF, but it's really super thin MDF. It's in here too. It's maybe a 1/4 inch thick board, and it can be cut to the size you need. So we have it cut to the top of the table, and then where my cutout is for my sewing machine, it's also cut there. Well, yeah, Colleen, why not? So these are, I can't even say this, Fudao, F-U-D-A-O family safety pins. This is the number 3 size. So these are 1 4/5 inches, and they're nickel plated stainless steel. So there's that kind. I think I took the safety pins out of this one. Yep, I did. So I have another one that is marketed as quilter safety pins, and they actually have a bigger curve in them. It's like the safety pin itself is bent. I don't like those as well. I like these big safety pins better. And these are close to the same size that you would use for a baby diaper. If anybody in here knows what baby diapers are, or cloth diapers. Yeah, the curved safety pins don't like mine either. You saw how difficult that was for me to open and close it. I do like basting, the basting spray. I don't really have a space big enough to lay everything out. Hi, Marie, how are you today? I don't really have a space big enough to lay everything out, so I use my ironing board when I do it. And I have both the Scotty Dog quilt and the chicken salad quilt that are on my list of things to do this week. Excuse me. Let's see if I can, if this will blur me or if it will show you guys. It's going to blur. Yeah. Not bad. just if I move it. So what I did was I finished my dogs, and then I had 2 fat quarters that I liked, that I felt like went with everything in the quilt, and they're Lori Holt. So of course I love Lori Holt fabric. So I cut them into 2.5-inch strips and then 10.5 inches long, so I could put some on the side of each of my blocks. I sashed those, and then I took what was left over from my fat quarters and sewed it together into long links to make my horizontal sashing. I'm trying to hold it still long enough for my phone to. Let's see if this will do it. Okay, so here we go. You can see it way better there. And I don't see Tracy yet, but I figured out how to fix her name on here. I'm gonna color it. It did the R in just, let's see. Let's take the phone off of here and just use that one, because I feel like I'm being interrogated. Thank you, Marie. This is, I don't know if you follow Beth Shibley at My Sewing Room, but this is a pattern that she drew off of a quilt that she picked up at a thrift store, and she was nice enough to share the pattern. So I printed it out, and she did hers. And did some raw edge applique on 9 and then put it together. And Monday we were chatting, and a couple of people mentioned that they would like to have their names on the quilt. So I said, okay. And so we put their names on the quilt. I'm moving over so you guys don't quite get right up in my ear. But we put their names on the quilt, and I am going to put this one together to free motion quilt in the next couple of days. Thank you, Colleen. I knew her link was in there. But I really like what Beth does. She's got a very simple style and a soothing voice that I really enjoy. Bee, Sherlock. Sorry. Did y'all see I got me a new grabber? It's pink. So now when I drop stuff on the floor, I can use the grabber to pick it up. And it's kind of cool. The grabber's magnetic, so it picked up the safety pin without me having to try to fiddle on it. I still got to find a place to hang it though. Let's see. If I put it up there, I'm going to bean myself in that. But and I found the, well, I didn't found it. I knew where it was at. I spent all last spring working on this. And then I stopped. This is my chicken salad quilt from Lori Holt. And I stopped because I couldn't decide at the end how big I wanted to make that. Thank you, Sylvia. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to put another border on this and make it bigger. And then I'm going to quilt them both. So we got some ASMR videos to look forward to on that. I had kind of put all my quilt tops away, because we all know I have like 30 of them. I kind of put them all away because of, you know, we were going to move. But since we're not going to move, it's time to get them out. Yes, kindness is free. Please spread it everywhere. Yeah, I think the Scotty quilt is adorable, you know, and it'll make a great throw size quilt. And since it's got dogs on it, one of my grandkids will love it. I thought it fell out. Thank you, Lori. But one of my grandkids will love it. They will probably grab it as soon as they see it, but I want to get it quilted. Yeah, only one more left, huh? Let's try to fix that right now. My camera likes to go wonky. I have another one. I need to bring it in here and see if it works any better than this. Yeah, Sylvia's finishing up her Japanese block. Colleen is finishing up her pig that she made for her mother-in-law. You cannot make a whole pig into bacon, folks. Sorry about your luck. I knew that, but I have to keep reiterating it because, you know, I'm upset about it too. I really, really, really wish you could. What's the point in raising pigs if you're not going to get bacon out of it? So, oh, I hope so. And is your pattern up already, Sylvia? Or are you going to put it up on a short in a little bit? Because if you are, I need to print it out. I may actually try. And look, I have some scraps left over from the Scotty dog. Well, maybe I'll turn those into pieces for the Japanese for the next block. What is the next block? Oh yeah, chicken basket. Pork. Yes, Sylvia, you know what's important. It's up now. Okay. I will look for it as soon as I get off the live. You have a magnet on a stick? Yeah, that's what this is. But when I started working on organizing my room in here, Nancy, I have a shelf at the top of my pegboard that has a bunch of stuff on it. And I was like, well, I reached up there and put it all up there. I should be able to reach up and bring it down, right? No, not so much. Oh, that's why I bought a pink one, Colleen. My blue one went outside and it's actually sitting over next to my other. Oh, Sylvia, I hope you put the link in. It's sitting next to the Juki. Looked for it and looked for it. I couldn't find it. And finally I said, okay, I've got to order another one. The day I ordered the other one, my husband brought the blue one in for me. And then Amazon was generous enough, or else I didn't realize, but I guess I ordered two instead of one. The package came with two, but they sent them in separate packages. I'm like, okay, whatever you guys did. So now I have two pink ones. Oh, no problem, Sylvia. I'll be looking for it as soon as I'm done. So that'll work out perfectly. You know what, Nancy, you need one in every room. I'm sorry. As we get older, we need one in every room. And I don't know about you guys, but there are days, Arthur, you know, my favorite person, Arthur-itis. I get up and some days I just flat can't walk. And when you're getting out of bed, because the bladder has decided that it rules the world, and you need to walk to the bathroom, you need to be able to get there. And I've had days where I've gotten up and I haven't had anything to hang on to except the wall. So I now sleep with my cane next to my bed because I never know when I'm going to get up and need to be able to use the cane. And some days I only use it for that first morning trip when I first get up and then everything's okay. Some days I end up using the cane all day. So we keep the cane close to the bed and I know to put it back whenever I'm done with it for the day. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I was reading a meme the other day, and I guess I'm at that age now where those memes really ring home. And it was talking about the brain and the stomach and the heart. We're all, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, and the bladder's just kind of standing over the side, looking at them all. And I was like, yep. Thank you, Sylvia. What?
Shuts down and crews fall.
Oh, yeah. Wayne just added more to it. I'm trying to figure out how I make it clean. And then the
bottom end.
The bottom end shuts down and shows everybody who's in charge. There you go. So yeah. And Sylvia, I can't wait to see what you're going to make tomorrow. I cannot wait. It'll be fun. I have already got my alarm set. It's for Colleen and Sylvia. They're both early morning for me. Not as early as they are for themselves. Colleen is up on at 6:30 for her, 7:30 for me. And I have to set my alarm to make sure that I'm up because that's the one day I'm going to sleep in late. So I set my alarm, and then I set my alarm for Sylvia. She comes on at 2 o'clock her time, but that's 9 a.m. for me. That's going to be the night where I oversleep. So I make sure I set my alarm for those 2 days. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. Exactly. The ladder says, I got this. I'm in charge. But I didn't mean to go off on a rant. I love my little stick, my little grabby stick. If you aren't old yet, you don't understand, buy one anyway. 1, 2, 12, however many you got to have. So, because you definitely will be using these as you get older. And more often than you think, because the other day I spilled my scrap bin on the floor. I spilled my scrap bin on the floor. So I was sitting here and I was like looking down at the floor going, I am not getting on that floor and crawling around because I would never get back up. Okay. It's not a joke. When you get older, make sure you've got a plan to get back up before you get down on the floor. I am not getting down on the floor. Arthur and my knees are not going to let me get back up. So I got my little grabby stick and I picked up all my stuff. And then, hello, Stephanie. And then I picked up my whole bin. So that made things a whole lot easier. Marie, I am going to iron today too. And Sherlock says, always so generous. Thank you very much. And awesome for your tote bag. I love it. I can't wait to see pictures. I tried to get into your chat yesterday, and I guess you were just having a super busy chat because it wouldn't let me in. I mean, it would not load. I could go anywhere else on YouTube. So, Marie, you got me blocked from your chats. Did I do something to you I don't know about, chick? If I did, you need to call me. Yeah, even with sturdy furniture nearby, sometimes the knees aren't going to do that, Colleen. And the knees are still capable. The problem is I don't want to injure them so that they're not capable further down the road. So, yeah, I'm like, everything is about future effort. Am I going to be able to do this again if I do this now? So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lori is super helpful. If you need some, well, if I need something, I call Lori before I go to the store and I say, do you have, you'll block me till you go. You're a brat, Colleen. But yeah, we've been all having fun. And then Marie, I think it was just your chat was so busy, Marie. And I have country internet. And I don't know if you know what that means, but it means that some days my computer or my internet won't even support me to go live. That's why my times have been moving around lately. Oh, that's scary, Sylvia. That's scary. I think it was just maybe it was just too busy. You were having a busy chat that day. It looked like it was fun. And I was like, well, gee, I've been giving Colleen my best beginner free motion tips for Marie and Stephanie since you guys just came in. And Stephanie, I know you long arm quilt. Right, Colleen, I know. Ooh, I like green. Well, hello, Kay. How are you today? Kay at the purple wall. I'm trying to share information with Colleen about beginner free motion quilting tips for her because she's getting ready to bite that one off and try it. Oh, I appreciate that, Lori. And then I did a little bit of just piddling around on my little piece here. I fell over a box of fabric. Sylvia, I thought you were working on cleaning that up. Snow day, yay! Does that mean you're off work too, or just the kids? Where are you at? What part of the country? Because I know somebody in Michigan was telling me that their kids went to school today, but they let them out early, and then tomorrow they won't go to school. And she's in Michigan, so I didn't know how far that went this year. My son's in Toledo, and he hasn't called me to say, "Oh, we're freezing to death." You teach and you're in Iowa, okay? Marie, small packages stuff. Let me fix this camera because it wants to act up again. I was telling Colleen little things like this. You know, this is just a pair of hexies that I had here. I had just enough fabric to make a few. So yeah, Ice Ice Baby. He lives somewhere not too far from me, down Jupiter or Stewart or something like that. And I'm sure, like me, he's older now, so. Colleen, you just gotta bite the bullet and try. I was telling Colleen, Murray, that I think doodling helped me the most, you know, doodling on paper. And then doing some little pieces like this, and you said you've been practicing, so you probably have been. But doing some little things like this, the same doodles that you were doing on paper, helps you kind of get a feel for what you can and can't do. And then, of course, there are some amazing free motion quilters and long arm quilters teaching on YouTube. So there's plenty of places to look. I'm just sharing what I do because I know I'm a newbie. I've only been doing it a couple years. And so I figure, you know, if I can teach you something, great. And if not, accountability. Yes, Colleen, you're going to be accountable being on with Marie. I think that's going to be a blast. So are you guys going to record it, or are you going to do it as a live? And you'll have to give me a link so I can put it in my bot once you have it done. So Marie, you've got my email. If you don't, Colleen will give it to you. Send me a link and I'll put it into my bot so that we can advertise it on the live for you. Yeah, if it's gonna snow up there, Stephanie, kind of snuggle up under all those quilts you make. I sent a bunch home with the Viking horde when they were down here after Christmas, and she called. She's in Michigan, and she called and said the kids like to pile all the quilts up on top of them and snuggle under. It'll be a pre-record. Okay. I thought you had said that, but I wasn't sure. I was making sure that I hadn't misunderstood what you told me. But yeah, those are fun. Because then you can edit out things like, you know, the fire truck going by or whatever. Awesome. Awesome, Marie. That's great. We do, well, we don't really show projects off during our sewing bees, but everybody brings whatever they're working on and works on it while we all sew together. So we're having fun. That's what we're supposed to do, right? I still feel like a glitter bomb, and I did actually use the lint thing before we came on. Did I get all this thread on me during this live? Guys, what are y'all doing? We're recording. I love it, Marie. Oh, yeah. Your aunt lives in Brighton and they're going to get ice and then snow. That is not good. Not good. Because when you get ice and then snow on top of it, then it turns into black ice and it's harder to drive on, right? Because it's already slippery because of the snow, and having a layer of ice under the snow you can't see. Okay, if we forget. Colleen. She's a brat. And then the other thing is, it is the middle of the month. It's the 16th. I want to remind everybody, and Colleen put out a short about this yesterday. It's time to clean your sewing machine, change your needle. If you haven't already checked your rotary cutter blade this month, it's time to change your rotary cutter blade. And I'm going to remind you again on the 1st, either during a live or doing a short. If you don't do it from the reminder on the live, I'm going to be obnoxious and I'm going to put the short up every day for a month until you remember. But it is time to clean your sewing machines. Yeah, Sylvia, that's great. That's a good way to do it. And the other thing, and I think Colleen did this on one of hers, is when you do a test piece, like if you're doing a new weight of quilt, and I always do this for every quilt, is I try different tensions until it works. But you can also write on there, not with friction pen, because friction is erasable with an iron, but with regular pen or pencil, what tension you used, what stitch length, etc., so that you can remember the settings when you come back to do another. I do that, and it's one of the things that's recommended when you get a new serger, is that you try all of your stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 thread, 3 thread, whatever your machine will do. And then you note what that stitch came from so that you know what those stitches are going to look like whenever you get ready to do it. You'll clean it after the live tomorrow. It takes 5 minutes, Sylvia. Yeah, yes, Marie, you have to. Yeah, not with friction pen, exactly. But you can keep a record of stuff like that, you know, and then like I showed the other day. Get back up there. Like I showed the other day, this is my embroidery test piece. It has 2 pieces of stabilizer on the back. And then whenever I want to try something out embroidery wise that I've never done before, like you can see, I ran a, this is an edge to edge stitch pattern. This is applique with heat and bond and without heat and bond using a pattern. I tried to make the pattern bigger. You can ignore the fact that I misspelled quarantine on there. But I've been using this one for a while since it says COVID-19. And I haven't thrown it away or worked it into something else. Because this is super useful for me. If I come back to it later, like you can see right here, I don't know if you can tell, I ran it with purple thread, and I love Sunbonnet Sue too. And then I went and I changed my thread color because I wasn't thrilled with the purple. And I went with the light blue and went right over the pattern there. I didn't even take it out of the machine. Yes, I killed Sunbonnet Sue. But I've got 2 different colors there. And then I was playing with tension. So some parts of this have a higher tension than others. This is almost breakable when you come down to it. But then I played with the tension on here. And I believe that I wrote on here with a friction pen, which is why I'm telling you don't write on your stuff with a friction pen, because if you iron it, you lose it. But this is, you know, just, I sewed our name on because I was trying to figure out a size. So this is great for anything that you've got, any machine that you've got, not just for an embroidery machine. But if you want to try something out, you're like, ooh, I think I like this idea. Have a test piece handy that you can work on and not have to worry about, oh, did I ruin my quilt or my whatever that you're making. I killed, There is a whole genre of Sunbonnet Sue about You Killed Sunbonnet Sue. They've got her hanging, they've got her guillotined, they've got her stabbed, shot, run over by a truck. So yeah, there is a whole genre of that. Some of you who are into the Halloweeny and macabre things, you should look that up. But be warned, it can get, I mean, how gruesome can you get with fabric and thread? But they're pretty interesting. So you're gonna fly me over to the UK to clean your sewing room? Okay, punish me, Sylvia. I'd love to go to the UK. What kind of people? Well, those who are into macabre things, Colleen. My daughter-in-law would love it. She likes skulls and that kind of stuff. But it was done as funny. It really is done as funny. But if you're into that kind of thing, I did a lot of research on Sunbonnet Sue because I wanted Sunbonnet Sue and Sunbonnet Sam. And there are, besides the classic Sunbonnet Sue shape, there's also a Sunbonnet Sue with like a Victorian era bonnet and little upside, like Dresden pieces for her skirt. So you'll get 4 little different colored pieces and high heels. Trying to think. And there's quite a few different variations on that as well. On some, they did a whole lot of embroidery for like her to hold a bouquet, or they have her holding a fish, all kinds of different things. If you ever get bored and you want to run down a rabbit hole, look up Sunbonnet Sue and all her different variations, because she has been varied a whole lot. My ear itches today instead of my nose. So yes, of course, because I'm live, right? But no, it's not very nice, but it's funny if you're into that kind of stuff. Okay, so Colleen, did you share everybody's links? And I think Maria's in my bot. Oh yeah, overall Sam is adorable. Yeah, and Colleen wants me. Mr. Happy only has a girlfriend though. He hasn't got married. I kind of wanted to do a fish themed quilt too. You wish you had time to get more. Yeah, you're on the road a lot. Okay, well, if you've put them all in, then this is your 1-minute warning to let you know that I'm getting ready to say bye. I think it was Colleen that complained last week that I, just said bye and that was it. I was gone. So I figure I'll give you a minute or 2 warning here. And shorts, they're coming. So are long videos. And starting next week, by the time you get done, he'll be hitched. Starting next week, we're going to start working through that Quilt Builder card box again. I will try to put up at least a community post to let you guys know what block we'll be working on and what the fabric requirements are if you want to sew along. But we're going to start working on those and see how many of them we can get done. So you guys all have a great day. I appreciate you watching. As Colleen says, kindness is contagious. Sylvia says, be nice to others, not because they're nice, but because you are. And I say, if anybody's looking at your stuff that closely, they need to go home. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.